See, I think you do like it. That's why you do like these videos.
I'm fascinated.
That's what I mean.
Get why
that's
it
what
works.
you go from not liking them to liking them.
The thing is, it's going to be 2025 by the time it comes out. That's going to be like over.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, we'd hope, but
You'd hope. I don't think it's gonna be.
Maybe not. But
Can you play just one so I can just?
Well, we need a proper intro for our guests.
oh no, this is how we.
This is how we do it.
This is how we do it.
We've known this kid 25
What we
years.
try to do is
it's 2025 podcast.
we try to get a very talented guest and then just not utilize them at all.
Bro.
Just,
that's usually my place in podcasting. It's like, I'm over here.
Yeah, I'm over here now.
I'll chime in with like one, like, hey, and then back. You remember back in the day when we were writing sketches and coming up with ideas, complex comedy ideas for shows?
Yeah.
And now it's like, no, just bring the boo. Bring the boo.
yeah.
That's what you do.
I was a maroon making all these treatments all these years, breaking out season arcs. Are you kidding me?
I know,
Don't
right?
do that. Just fucking.
Just writing and like digging deep into your soul and finding ideas based on experience.
Now, Sean Patton, a guest on our show today, he's on the greatest comedy that I've seen in years.
Biggest proponent of the show.
I was huge.
Thank you.
It's called English Teacher.
English Teacher, yeah.
And it's excellent. And I'll tell you this right now, like I was like, because I was in the beginning, I was like, I don't know, I never want to watch a new comedy, you know. But then I was like, oh, Patton's in it, and this guy Bryden Jordan Alvarez is really fucking good. And I watched one episode, I was like, this is great. And literally every episode, like if they have a field trip episode that he's on, he's amazing in it.
Oh, yeah.
And Sean is such a good actor. I'm gonna put this over now. There's a point in this, I've never seen an actor do this, but he gets his feelings hurt better than almost any other. When he calls you stupid in that one scene, and you do this thing that I've done when I've gotten upset, and you do this like thing, like catch the breath, and you left, or I'm like, oh, this is a guy who's about to cry, but like I've never seen that before. But that's a very real. Well, he's excellent. Sean Patton in this show is excellent.
Thanks. I mean that seems
a rousing endorsement
because we were dressed like ghosts. That was the protest.
Well, this is right
episode.
before the ghost thing, I think. Yeah, you had pissed him off.
No, that was the scene you're talking about when he's like,
Was it right
you're
after
an
that?
idiot. We were like both protesting.
Yeah.
And in the script, it was written where we just yelled at each other louder. And the director, who's brilliant, Jonathan Kreisel, who he came over and he's like, "Would you want to do anything different?" And I was like, "Kinda." Like, what if I just go play it super
sad,
super realistic?
And I got really upset.
Yeah, and I was like, what if I just actually react?
I gotta see it. Can you do it? Do you remember reacting?
We can't make him act.
Listen, I've known Sean. Sean and I've known each other for 17 years. Just say something mean and cut it. Pretend like it's your birthday party at Patty's.
I got upset one time. I was drunk at Croxley's at Comedy Cellar, and I came in, and Sean was like, you said something about me being drunk, and my feelings got hurt, and I ran.
You ran away?
I ran to the train, and I ran home.
He said something that was just blatantly true.
Yes.
I did?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, bro.
That's okay. Don't worry about it.
Well, it's also like...
No, let me say, I wasn't there. He needed to hear that.
Yeah. That's the fun thing about the Cellar. You go sometimes, and you're like, oh, someone started drinking... at the 7 p.m. Not you, but just anyone.
Yeah.
It could be literally anyone.
Oh, I was fine with it.
This was Sean.
I was fine with it after a couple minutes, but in the moment I was like, oh. It became the cowardly lion. I go, put him up.
They have the rule of Donnelly's.
Pathetic. I'm not even saying with the comic but this was an argument that I had that's truly pathetic. I'm like, yeah, all right, maybe you're better at act outs, but I'm a better writer. And I was like,
what year was that?
It was like 200010. I'll tell you who it is afterwards, and you won't be surprised at all. It's like, oh yeah, of course you got an argument with that guy.
Well, there was a time where you could argue about like the merits of being a comedian, and it mattered based on your ability, not how many fucking followers you have.
Yes.
Well, yeah, Sean Patton's one of the best comedians in the world, but it doesn't matter. That's what I'm trying to say. It really doesn't matter. Like if you actually look at the written text of what Sean's writing as a stand-up, it's tremendous. But that's just not what this thing is anymore.
I would say everyone in this room, we've all got shot. I mean, I would say the three of us look like we're auditioning for the same part.
I think we have, and I think you beat. I think you beat us.
Gone out for the same.
I think we've all
after seeing that show, he deserved to beat us. They're gonna be. It was.
I mean,
it was
one of my
excellent.
favorite auditions I ever went on. It was me and fucking QTip.
No way.
Reading for the same part.
Yeah.
For a part in Mr. Popper's Penguins. I shit you not.
Oh
That's
my
pretty
God!
great.
It was like a
It
talking,
sounds like a fever dream.
and I remember just like looking at him the whole time, being like, "That's fucking QTip." But I can't just be like, "Hey, are you QTip?" You can't, like.
And it's also weird that QTip was at an audition when they just give him an offer. That's bonkers.
You think, well, he's not. I mean, not known for his acting,
Not his acting,
theatrical prowess.
I was at a AT&T commercial audition with Bodie from The Wire, which I was like, and when I found out it was the same exact role.
Yeah.
And I was like, I fanned out and took a picture of him. I told you that one, Kevin Meaney, rest in peace, Kevin Meaney.
Yeah.
Great fucking comedian who I grew up watching. Went out for, it was a sitcom that, what's his name was doing? Who was the guy you wrote with? Not Jeremiah. What's his name? I can't remember.
Jermaine Fowler?
Jermaine Fowler. I couldn't think of Jermaine's name for a second. And the role was playing manager of the restaurant.
That would break his heart so hard.
I know. I didn't mean it.
Like, someone couldn't remember me.
But it was the manager of the restaurant, and I remember being like, I wasn't ready. I got there a little bit late, and they were like, "Sean, do you want Kevin to go before you?" I'm like, "Yeah, totally. That's fine. Kevin goes in. I'm laughing, hearing him through the door give the audition. I'm like, just give it to fuck. And he didn't get it. I don't think maybe he did get it. I don't know. But I'm like,
he was excellent.
I should have just walked away.
He's one of my favorite late night sets of all time.
He's fucking,
Kevin Meaney?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
he was awesome.
Well, remember also, this was in 2021, May of 2021. So like coming out of the pandemic, Cypher Sounds, DJ, comedian, very famous in New York, and Will Sylvince. It was Cypher's birthday show at this bar in Bushwick, and I got there kind of late, and I'm going on last. And they're doing crowd work. Go figure. And they both keep going. Omar? What do you think? To a black dude in the audience. And I remember like telling to Daniel Simonson, I'm like, see, they can get away with that. They can just call a black dude Omar. And then I got on stage and I looked. I was like, oh, that's legit. That's legit Michael K. Williams. That's fucking,
Oh, he wasn't making a joke. He was being very accurate.
That was action. And he fucking laughed and was a great audience member. And afterwards said such fucking nice things to me.
I've not heard one bad thing about that guy.
And then a month later.
I've heard
it was like a month before he died.
I heard he was the best.
Yeah,
that guy.
yeah.
He was just battling fucking heroin, man.
Yeah, exactly. But great comedy audience member.
Yeah, I heard he was great. I heard he's Burbs Bros. We talk about crazy suburban news stories, but you're not really from a suburb. You're from.
No, my parents moved us to the Burbs when I was in high school. When I was like,
where
Slidell, Louisiana.
Slidell, Louisiana. What was that? I just did the J.P. Leonard run, so I would know. Like,
oh no, that's different directions.
Different directions. Okay.
I'd say Slidell is to New York what like Yonkers is to Manhattan. It's like a
borough-ish.
Yeah, it's like.
Did you like it there growing up?
Fuck no.
No,
my mom actually. My parents are awesome now. I get along with my immediate family insanely well now. It took time. But my siblings and I are like, whatever. My parents.
That usually happens.
Yeah. But my mom has like on multiple occasions been slightly tipsy and apologized for moving us to Slidell.
Really?
And it's just like it's 30 minutes north of New Orleans.
And that's a big move for a parent to go, hey, I messed up.
And like,
Sean's very sensitive.
There's Slidell right there.
Also, like you're a sensitive guy. You read. From fucking one of the major cultural cities of the United States to then.
Well, I mean, but my whole family was still all in the 7th Ward, 9th Ward, Lakeview. We spent all of every holiday we were at a relative's house in the city. We were, me and my friends were going to the city constantly. My dad had a catering company. All of the jobs were in the city. So I still spend all of my, and then like I started stand up in New Orleans.
You're right.
And like was living there as a young, like from like those formative years that form a person.
Yeah,
right.
I was living.
The minute you could get out, you did. Because I did the same thing with Long Island. I was gone the minit I could. I went back a couple times depending on roommate situations. Long Island.
Did you have any ever weird like fucking Louisiana urban legends from Slidell?
Oh, well, not even that, dude. I'll point out this, like. Yes, the violence in inner cities, obviously, but there's a different type of violence that happens in the suburbs, which is also fucked up and twisted.
What's the? I'd love to hear this. What's the difference between suburb and...
So, Slidell, which you just pointed out, pull that back up on the map because I want if you don't mind. I don't just like to bark orders at the guy.
It's a weird thing to have to do that.
Yeah, but so if you look at it,
you do have to do that.
I-12, I-10, and I-55. All intersect in Slidell, Louisiana, as you can see right there, right? Right. Those are 3 major fucking interstates. I-12 goes all the way up, I believe. I-10 goes from Florida to L.A. 12 goes somewhere.
That's all the way up to the Midwest,
I-55 goes up,
So you're living off highway.
So
serial killer drop-offs.
Every drug trafficker just dumped everything off in Slidell.
No way.
And it trickled down to New Orleans, and it trickled down to everywhere else. Because it was right there. It was a safe spot. You weren't going into the city.
Easier to do that.
Right. And it's a suburb. And that's where most fucking drug sales happen. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Right? So there was always there was
Like weird drug shit happening.
always an unlimited access, and you were buying it from affluent white kids. You know what I'm saying? You weren't going into you were rarely ever going into like ghetto, poor neighborhoods to buy shit.
You were just a weed guy, though, right?
I was
Did
a
you
weed
ever
guy,
have,
but I also
you did coke sometimes?
I did everything
Right.
in my teens. Tried it all anyway.
right,
But like
right.
all of that stuff you were buying from dudes who were like white,
Yeah.
but like, yo, hey, you don't step to me, yard. And you're like, why?
Yeah, that's a wire thing. White Mike, when they go to like the
White Mike. It's
Well,
like,
that's what I always say
your
about
parents are dentists. Why do you?
South Jersey's South New Jersey. I always say is incredible because they're the only racist people who appropriate a black accent. Be like,
Oh, yeah.
Yo, I don't want one dating my daughter, son. And you're
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
you're
Oh,
like,
dude,
this
the
is-
amount of
That's all over the place. That's a
like-
suburban
people-
thing.
But you guys
who
are
had-
taking their culture. Why does
yeah.
let them date your daughter, man?
well, you would have the like Toyota like truck that where they'd have all the letters except the Y and the O in the middle removed.
Right.
Off the, so it just said yo.
Yeah.
All right. And it was on low riders with ground effects, but the back window would be a fucking Confederate flag decal.
And they get that
You
box,
know?
that bass box in the
Yeah,
trunk.
the- or
I
the
remember
bazooka
that.
tube.
The bazooka tube. That's what I
Yeah.
was trying to think of.
Yeah.
Bazooka tube. was
And
a
it was
thing.
just like,
My, my friend had a Nissan, like a probably a 92 Nissan Maxima white, and he put one in there, and it was so loud. The car was so old, it was just a rattling of the car that you heard. It was just like it could probably destroy this car. But this
well, I mean, like,
What's the
yeah.
craziest murder that
Oh,
you
dude,
remember?
so
from?
this story still fucks with my head when I think about it to this day. There was this like, there were 3 high schools, public high schools in New Orleans. I'm sorry, in Slidell. There's Slidell High. There were 4 high schools total. Slidell High, Pope John Paul. That was the small Catholic school where all the psychos went, where all the druggy, OD, preppy, sleep around girls, and also some good people as well. All of my siblings went there for like a year and then left. I was the only one who was like Slidell High the whole way. Slidell was sort of like the just chill. Most of us were stoners.
Right.
Then you had Salmon, which was like they were the best at all the sports. Coincidentally, also the most urban school. You know, and they kind of kept to themselves.
weird.
Right? And then you had North Shore High, and this was
Wait a second. Are you saying these black kids are better than these white suburban kids at basketball? Wait.
I'm not trying to listen. Not trying to be controversial.
Oh, no, I'm not trying to be controversial.
All right,
But it's funny. Have you ever heard that Ted Alexander? I'm sorry,
No,
go
go
back
ahead,
to your
go
story. But Ted Alexander has he talks about Jackie Robinson, but then he talks about the first ever black basketball player. And it said it wasn't one; it was just a bunch of guys just came and goes, "Hey, we got this now." It's like, don't worry, guys, we got this.
We'll take
we
over.
got it.
nobody's watching. We got it.
You can dunk with one of these things, guys.
We got 4 teams. How about 30? Give us 5 years. No, but the North Shore High was where all the like white suburban thug lunatics went.
Okay.
Right. So there was basically a lot of trailer parks in Slidell. I'm not going to use names, but Jeff, a guy named Jeff, drives a dude named Stuart to this trailer park. Guy named Stuart's like, wait here. I'm going in there to rob these 2 guys because they think I'm here to just buy Coke. I'm actually going to rob them. He goes in there. There's 2 guys in there. Shoots them both dead.
Oh my god.
Whoa.
And steals all this Coke Oz cash, gets back in. Jeff's like, holy fuck, you did it. What Jeff did not know was one of those guys was his younger brother.
No way.
Oh,
this is in a house.
This is in a trailer park. And it was like a thing that like
God.
everyone heard about when it happened. And it was like, what the
This is
fuck?
this is high school or after high school?
This was right at the end of high school.
Oh
so it was
my
one of these
God.
like, oh, that guy drove the dude and then to murder. It didn't know, had no clue. Had no clue his brother was in there hanging out. He knew very little about the situation other than he wanted to be involved because he was a badass.
And that the kid that was along with it was in your school. Or he was
Yes.
at North
Oh,
Shore?
well,
That
well,
is
we
so
knew.
tragic you wouldn't believe it.
It's
Like
one
if
of
it was like if you wrote it, you would
Yeah.
not believe that story.
But that like that kind of shit, but the amount of kidnapping, like fucking weird sexual shit you hear about, and then stuff you read about later about like, people there was a big one in Slidell was someone kidnapped like a cheerleader and then set her boyfriend on fire in front of him.
Jesus.
oh my god.
And like shit like that because it's these kids who are like they're constantly fed fear that their parents are being fed. Through now we know through media, but like what we always knew through media. But they're terrified of ever going into the city or terrified of anyone who looks different than them. But then they start to adapt these like personas based on like whatever videos
on MTV.
video or MTV or video games that they don't have critical thinking skills, so they can't separate.
So they just think, oh, this is cool.
This is all it is. And so they go into that lifestyle as a form of rebellion to this fear-based conservative lifestyle instead of like having access to a museum or a park,
Right.
or like meeting
meeting a
people
gay
that look-
guy.
Yeah, exactly.
You know,
Well,
like, yeah.
we had a similar thing where it's like you'd co-op these personalities, but that's like a hardcore version when it turned into a double murder with somebody burning to death. That's
So
hardcore.
so many fucking crazy suicides, so many like, and it's just like it's like I'll make this fucking argument all the time. Like I understand the perils and the dangers of inner city life. I get it, but I think it's that kind of fucking shit is almost better for a child to deal with.
Interesting.
Than life just being peachy keen and fine, and then one day one of his friends is like, "Hey, come over, man. Check this out. We got a girl tied up in the garage."
Yeah.
You know, you're like, wait,
And then-
why? And it's
then
like
on board.
and it's like now your fucking whole life is
Holy shit!
over.
You know what I think it is
versus,
with
oh no, you're
City?
gonna get beat up for being different every now and again, and maybe mugged once or twice.
Yeah.
Well, City, I think it speeds up you grow up faster.
Well, sure.
So whether you turn into a bad or good person, it's just faster. Like I remember when I was going to my guard job, I used to be a security guard at Metropolitan Bed. I was on a crosstown bus, and there was
Yeah,
these.
that Ben Stiller stole his whole idea.
Yeah, he stole my whole. Yeah, mine was modern art there. So really, when it came to life, it was just a Rothko that kind of vibrated. But like we were on the bus, and these girls, they were in high school, and they were talking about the relationships, and they're like, "He touches me, and I tremble," and I'm like, I haven't talked about like this. Like you're talking. I'm in my mid-20s. I've never. You guys have had more of a life than I have.
Trying to make out in high school.
Yeah, you're like, you guys are talking about like the fucking Nora Ephron novel.
He whispers how I taste.
Yeah, we're like, what?
What?
I mean, I felt a boob in high school. You know, like.
I mean, I would
boob?
rather, if I had a kid, I would rather it grow up too fast than too late, though. 'Cause
That's interesting. I would think so too. Yeah, I think so too. Well, too
Then
fast.
they learn shit later on, and then they don't know how to handle it.
or just someone, because I'd rather I'd rather have a child who's 18, but like mature enough to hang out with, at a 30-year-old level's maturity than the vice versa.
It's also
know?
because we're close in age. It's a generational thing too, because we used to do that. We used to hang out with older kids. Obviously not
They would
30-year-olds.
buy us booze.
But like exactly, and like we'd be 16, and then I through friends and skateboarding, it'd be like kids would be like 21 or like 19, and you got enough of that glimpse of what that was like that you're like, oh, I kind of get this, and I know how to act accordingly. You know what I'm saying? Like it's, but because you become like a babe in the woods if you don't have any of that, and then you're just in college just taking part in all of it at once, and like the first quarter or the first half of college.
Well, let's get to our first suburban news stories of the week. This is not as suburban India, guys, but I had to fucking talk about this. Utter Pradesh,
Still a
India.
suburb.
Sure, I'm at holy. This is just these people in this temple freaked out thinking that it was like holy water leaking, and it just turned out to be a fucking faulty air conditioning system. But they all like ran in. They're like, "Oh no, it's here!"
They thought
It's
it was
here.
like they thought it was like the Madonna crying.
Yes, they thought it was devotees
my
drink,
God.
and they thought it was holy water, so they started drinking it, and they all got sick. I'm guessing.
No! Oh, these poor people.
Well, this is what religion does to people.
They're like, oh my God, the Madonna's crying. Oh no, it's tomato paste.
This is this is the
Drawing
fun
blood. Oh my God.
This is the fun version of it. The non-fun version of religion would be. This was last week. I don't know if you guys read this in Haiti, but there was a rival gang member who blamed voodoo on his son getting sick. So he had like 200 people who practice voodoo just executed.
Yes, I heard about that.
Crazy.
Yes, that's
But
the
yeah,
real
that's them
shit.
drinking.
Oh no. What do they get? Carvel cups?
I guess they got Carvel cups.
Oh, come on.
Did you? I feel like you. Have you ever had like a religious time, Sean, where you flirted with it at all?
Yeah, I mean, I'm actually writing a show about it now about Catholicism, because when I was deep in the throes of like early OCD anxiety attacks growing up in Louisiana, where there's no
Doesn't exist.
Well, yeah, and there's no help. There's no And like the thing I like, and I've talked about this before, but like when you have OCD and it's undiagnosed and you don't know what it is, and you're a kid, and you're living and you grow up in a state, Louisiana now is the worst fucking state in the country.
Is it?
50th in education, fucking obesity. Fat. I think it's the fattest state in the union.
Delicious, but yes, very fat.
And look at the politics of the place. It was the first state to try and be like, no, you have to have Ten Commandments. You have to have that.
In the
And I think-
state
and I think it's- I'm
capital.
pretty sure it's the first state to make any sort of Plan B abortion
Like just banned.
just completely like illegal. It's but it was a
and it's
shitty
religion
state.
based.
Heavily.
Yeah, yeah.
And I mean, New Orleans is fantastic. Don't get me wrong.
Right.
But I say this all the time. New Orleans is like the psychedelic mushroom that grows beneath the pile of cow shit that is Louisiana. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
and like,
Yeah, it's Austin, right?
right.
And-
I mean, but
But
Austin,
Texas, there's more cool
at least you got
cities.
Houston and San Antonio is actually under the radar, pretty cool.
Yeah.
But
It feels very gothic and ominous
Yeah.
when you're in Louisiana. It feels very.
Louisiana sucks. But when I was
I
first
was-
having like anxiety attacks and shit and freaking out, and you can't, and it's like you don't want to say anything to anyone when you're that age. When you're like, "Hey, mom, I'm terrified that I'm a titty fuck you while you're sleeping." That's why I haven't spoken to you in 2
But
weeks.
I'm glad you did it because I was diagnosed
You know
with
what I mean?
OCD like after you were, but it really it's the recurring pervasive
Irrational,
thoughts.
pervasive thoughts. Yeah,
That's
and
the
like,
one that people don't realize. They think it's turning this on. No, it's like
Yeah.
it's like fuck. Like if it's like if I crisscross the street, I'm gonna have to grab this knife and then stab
Yeah.
myself. It's like it's weird stuff that like your head
Exactly.
does.
Exactly. It's
Yeah.
like
And when you're a
I
kid,
wish I couldn't bond with it, but I can.
you don't know the name of it when you're a kid, so you're like, "What the fuck is
and you
this?"
just know you're having these thoughts and you can't fucking tell them to anyone. You can't like, you're being a dick to your little brother and you're getting grounded, you're getting fights with your parents, and you can't be like, well, because I'm terrified that if I look him in the eye, I'm gonna have to break his neck.
yeah.
You know what I mean? Because I can't stop thinking it.
Yes.
And, it's
Right.
not- and I don't want to do it. It's driving me insane. And it's like, yeah, that's what the disorder part is. The thoughts are intrusive. Every human being has these thoughts. The
Yeah.
disorder
Well,
part
it-
is you
it's-
can just dissuade them or just.
Right.
Yes, that's
Yeah.
it's funny too because it's like back in the day you would have those thoughts and they would just kill you. They're like, oh, they're a witch.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
That's what happened. This is not actually a suburb, but it is. DC it's its own. I don't know.
It's a city.
It's a city. It's not really. A
That's okay.
We can skip over
We
this
do this
one.
all the time.
But we did. But I guess they've been doing with these.
Pop-up statues?
Anarchist statues. This is the one where the guy who shit on Nancy Pelosi's desk. How much time did he get for that? 5 years? 3 years?
I have no idea, but I do know that this can't be to scale.
No, that can't be the step. Who knows? And some of the people that were doing
Was
it,
it dinosaur shit on her desk?
some of those people are going to get shit that big. I've got to stop. The side note, man, I got to stop eating dairy. It just sounds like I'm getting murdered every morning.
Oh, was that you? Is that your?
It's me. It's me. It's me.
It's also like I don't. At this point, isn't the Nancy Pelosi shit desk thing a little bit hack? Even if you are some sort of anarchist that's trying to make a statement.
Yeah, it's like-
aren't we kind of done with it? Wasn't that?
I did a joke about it 2 years ago. Come on.
Wait. A governor candidate admits he faked his Spotify rap.
Yes, this is. It's clearly like his press. If you look at what his Spotify raps,
You go back to
Bergen
that?
County, Jersey is where I grew up. But he has Bruce Springsteen. But then it's like all these popular people that like you're like, oh well, I think you're fucking publicist.
Oh yeah.
Pick this because it's okay. Those are all no surprises. But that even seems like, oh, I'm from New Jersey, Thunder Road, Badlands. These are like things like, okay, people from New Jersey are supposed to like. I love those songs.
Same
but
here.
it's almost like oh, like fun fact. My first ever concert was at Meadowland to see the Boss. All these guys are just like so desperately like, does this make me okay?
Yeah.
Am I Jersey enough?
Am I Jersey enough? Am I enough?
Yeah.
This is such a politics thing where you're like,
Yeah.
like if he has like another one that's like rap. He's like, I get jiggy with it. It's like,
Well, that's
that.
why Trump was able to
Let's
beat all
get
these
crunk.
guys because
They
he
use, like,
doesn't
the
talk
wrong
like
term.
that, you know.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
for a while, all politicians would talk like that. We're just like, remember when Jeb Bush was like, "I think Supergirl's hot," and everyone's like, "Whoa."
Who did that?
Jeb Bush tried to. He was trying to like say like like somebody at that time would have said, "Well, Giselle Bunch." Like they would have picked somebody, and he picked the weirdest, the CW actress.
Mary
that
Poppins
No one.
is sexy.
Yeah, it's like what you're talking about. But this is why it's bullshit. It's like Bruce and Billy, okay, Drake, then Travis Scott and Taylor Swift. Well, this isn't the same fucking person.
And this is
Well,
Come on,
he
man.
just copy and pasted. This is like a
Bergen
50-year-old
County,
guy,
New Jersey, a suburb I grew
right?
up in.
This is like a 50-year-old guy.
Of course.
Yeah.
Wait, but are people going to hold? I mean, this
It becomes
loses
an
the
article.
election.
Yeah.
Well, it's not that if we're covering it, it's not that important of a story, so I don't think it's going to do anything. But it is just it's just funny that these guys are like, like this will make me closer to the heart of Paramus. Dude, he was fucking good looking, man, back in the day.
Oh, yeah,
Jesus
man.
What,
Christ,
Springsteen?
dude. Yeah, they got that new the kid from the Bears playing him in a new movie.
I almost got a part in that movie.
What?
Yeah,
were you not
a
Jersey enough?
producer.
Well, they're like, oh, he's Long Island. We can't have
I
that.
showed
Yeah,
them my,
we're
my
doing
Spotify.
a Billy Joel movie in a couple years.
I showed them my Spotify rap. They just wouldn't give it to me from that.
Oh, Jeremy Allen White's gonna play him.
Yeah.
You
Well, I
know
can see
what?
that.
He's not as good looking as Bruce, though. Not even close.
Well, he's got that like, he's
Not
got
even.
that I just woke up face, like that.
I guess. I mean, he's more ripped. I know, like Bruce's big thing is like he's really into working out now, but you can't really do a rock and roll movie about that. I like to keep myself looking good.
Yeah.
That's
I mean,
not-
yeah. Look at young. Yeah.
I mean, come on. No, Bruce is way hotter than this fucking Jeremy Allen White guy. You kidding me? He looks weird. He's got a great body, but he looks weird. Bruce, those eyes? Come on. Am I gay? When's it going to happen for me? When am I finally going to fucking
You
get out of this
gayer and
closet?
gayer every episode.
I do
mean,
get gayer every episode.
Jeremy Allen White does have like it hurts to smile face. You know.
Yeah,
like-
but do women like that? I guess they do. I don't know.
But I think it's brooding. Isn't he supposed to be like brooding? Like he's like he's like the sad clown or something. I don't know. Isn't that like thing? Isn't that
No,
a
that's
look?
you. You're the sad clown.
Yeah,
He's
right.
the hot Bruce guy.
Then who knows? Maybe he takes it down, dude. Maybe he. I'm trying to think. Maybe he Ray Liotta's it.
What does
What
that
did Ray
mean?
Liotta do? Frank Sinatra.
Sinatra.
But that was for like an HBO movie, so no one saw that.
Oh yes,
Yeah,
yeah.
I remember that. That was the Rat Pack movie, right?
Yeah, Don Cheadle did Sammy Davis Jr.
John Cheadle was in it. Dean Martin was in there being sad.
But it was who was doing Dean Martin though?
I forget.
It was the guy from like Joe.
It wasn't Vince Vaughn, right? No,
No, it was some fucking guy.
like real Italian.
some fucking guy.
But his whole
brings the
thing
boom.
is like those guys would like all the Rat Pack guys would fuck all the time, but Dean Martin was like just a suppressed guy who drank alone.
No, apparently it was half bullshit. Later
that was
on, it
half-
was half. They said that there's a lot of moments where Dean Martin would be doing shows pretending he was drunk, but he wasn't really drinking that much.
Really?
Supposedly, that's a rumor. Well, I don't know if it was later on. Maybe early on he was boozing a bunch, and then he realized I can't sustain this.
When you were growing up in Long Island,
Yeah.
did you know guys, or do you still know guys probably who just never come to the New York City?
So
'Cause I've met those guys.
I have family members.
So
Yeah.
I don't know any personally, but I know that they exist, and I know of them.
yeah.
I know people who have friends, like close friends of mine who have friends that like never gone into the city once. Happens more in Suffolk County the farther you go out. Because I grew up so close to the city,
Yeah.
it'd be really hard not to go to Manhattan once when you were a kid or when you're older, whatever it is.
Yeah,
So
I've met comedians out there
that
that were
never-
like, why would I go to New
Long
York? I'm
Island's
like,
its own
I don't
city.
know. To the Mecca? Why should I go to the fucking
I don't know. You know,
the
this guy
epicenter
Woody
of-
Allen, George Carlin, they all ended up going.
No,
there,
I'm
so-
going to stay here at Governor's.
Kevin James, though.
They used to goof on Joe DeVito, very funny comedian. They used to goof on him. He would do both Brooklyn, Manhattan, and then go back and meet comics at the diner on Long Island. And they'd be like, "Oh, Big City Joe coming back," and he's like, "Yeah, I'm doing the thing. I'm there trying to fucking get better at this."
Dude, that's. I also love that like Long Island. Like, listen, my fucking cousins, girlfriends, brothers, dental hygienist roommate who drove a cab company for a while that was owned by a guy whose girlfriend's brother knew a bartender
Yeah.
whose brother and his cousin, but not related, was an associate of the Bonanno crime family. And there's always this like
Always like-
7 degrees of mafia
One thing I
connection.
know is because I'm married to a
Like,
woman. You know, Sean's one of my best friends, and I'm married to
Oh,
a
you're,
woman from Long Island, Sarah Joe.
oh yeah, Sarah. I forget that she's a.
And the,
She's
yeah,
Long
the
Island.
Long Island girl.
I don't know, I
But
thought
the
she was
one thing that
Midwest.
I first off, they both announced they're both very infuriating to watch a movie with because I watched them both. It was like when we first got together, we watched this fucking movie, and my wife and Sean started like fucking conspiracy, like, oh, this is what it means, and my wife's like, no, it means this, and they're like, and they were both so fucking wrong and ruined the movie for me that by the end of it, when it turned out to be like an alien, I looked at both of them and they're like, and they just no sold it. They're like, oh, it's interesting. And then they like walked off, and
You
I'm like,
remember
"You
what movie-
fucking
you
assholes!"
remember what movie it was?
It was that the Cloverfield Lane, the one that were in the space. It was
Oh,
bad.
yeah, it was bad.
It was bad. It was
Yeah.
bad.
Well, here's the thing about where
It was
I'm,
the Super Bowl
Where I
one.
was from, the town over from us was like super what you're talking about. It was super Italian. Franklin Square on Long Island, super Italian.
Yeah.
And everybody was like that. They're like,
Yeah.
they were mafia adjacent. So there was like soccer clubs. My dad would go to the OTB right there to bet on horses, and he would run into all these like fake mafia guys,
Dude.
and they would try to like
I was-
strong arm them and stuff
I
like
was
that.
writing a pilot about like the mafia last year. And it was kind of a comedy. It was like a comedy thing. And one of the reasons I wrote it is because like mobsters are poor now. Like that, it's not the same thing anymore. Like they don't make the same money
No.
that they used to, because all crime now, it's all darknet. It's all like all these conglomerations that form online that then completely dissipate. Like crime is completely changed because of the internet. So
Right.
all these guys that like used to kill it are now like, what do you mean you use DraftKings? You know what I mean?
Well, they used to.
They're all fucked.
They all went to jail for racketeering, got out, and that's all they knew how to do. So they tried to start it up again, and it didn't work. Apparently, like a lot of these guys were like, "Well, this is my only business I know," and then some of them went back to jail because they just tried the same scams. But like you're saying, it doesn't work anymore.
Doesn't work anymore.
It's like that scene in Sopranos where they go in and they
the
talk-
Starbucks?
The Starbucks.
Yeah, try and shake that.
and they're like, "Hey man, there'll be a new manager here tomorrow if that happens."
Well, I guess we'll go make a sauce.
Yeah, people are like, "Oh, people don't give a fuck." It's like, "Oh, it's like fucking ninjas," or I don't know why I picked ninjas, or like soldiers, but it's usually like guys working minimum wage. You're like, "Yeah, I'm not." You cannot get me to give a fuck about this place.
Yeah.
Just now.
Yeah.
Even I went to with my girlfriend and her son and his dad and his wife. We went to. They have a new baby, and he had a stroller, and we're in the subway, and there's literally they have a security guard in the subway that's guarding the emergency door so people don't open it up and go through it. And I was like, and we were going into the subway, so we were supposed to pay. And we just opened the door. We knocked on the door, told the guy the stroller, and he just let us into the subway. I'm like, aren't you here to stop? But like, you're like, no, he's making
you got
$10 an hour. He doesn't give a shit about it.
The things you could do if you just rolled around with a stroller.
Oh my God!
I got a stroller.
You ever see that? Do you ever see that video online where they go, we tried out a theory that if you just have vests on and a ladder, they'll let you in wherever you want. And these dudes just went to all these different places.
Really?
They went to the
Hilarious.
movie theater with a giant ladder, and like they had those like those like glowy day glow vests on, and they just walked right past the tickets and into the theater.
Damn,
That's amazing.
Really smart. Really smart.
This is just the spirit of Buffalo, guys. Buffalo, New York. Flight diverted to Buffalo after man exposes himself, urinates in airplane aisle. I guess, you know what? I will
No
say this.
drink minimum on American Airlines.
Exposes himself. Was he really? I mean, he took his dick out. I guess that's exposing yourself.
But
I'm saying
that's the
literally
definition.
Yeah, I guess you're right. But I just assumed he was jerking off, but he's just taking his dick out, you know?
But Dan's like, was he exposing himself emotionally? Or what was
Really?
happening here?
I mean, like, it wasn't clearly it wasn't a weird sex thing. The man just wanted to
Oregon.
pee.
It's Oregon. He was confused. He's like, wait, where's?
Yeah.
It's just
Thank
not-
you, Sean.
Yeah.
I'm used to being in the fields.
I identify as a nudist.
Well,
when I
this
was-
is what happened. The 25-year-old Oregon man was arrested and charged with indecent exposure after the flight landed at the Buffalo Niagara International Airport. He was released after making an initial appearance in federal court. The U.S. Attorney's Office, the flight departed from Buffalo after the incident. We thank our team members for their professionalism and our customers for their understanding for the piss smell in the aisles. The man told officers he was flying from Portland to Manchester and had several whiskey and colas. Yeah, you could have assumed this was the
when I was
end of the
drinking.
story.
Then more during a layover.
Yeah.
When I was drinking, like, and I would show up on these flights hammered, and I remember, I ran to the bathroom, and I thought I was getting away with it, and they're like, "Sir, can you please sit down? We're trying to take off."
No way.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I should have been
this is
arrested,
just-
honestly.
This is just complete bullshit. Just get up like, I'm sorry. I got a medical urination problem. When I have to piss, I piss.
Yeah, but couldn't that work though? Could you, if you just if you're like, "Hey, I pissed my," well, I guess you have to keep your dick in your pants. Then
Piss
it's
your
fine.
pants. Wear a diaper.
If you piss your pants on the flight, they could probably get after you for that as well.
It seems like on a flight you can't do anything.
Well, let's our audience try it. Anyone who's listening to the show this week, try pissing yourself on a flight this week, and just let us know the consequences. We're not going to help you.
If you
but
get
let
banned
us
from
know
that airline, we can't help you.
Yeah, we can't. We actually, I'll take no responsibility. But if you want to do it, let us know.
wear a diaper on a flight.
Wear a diaper. Yeah, wear a diaper on.
I've
on a
heard
flight.
of people wearing, and it's coming up on that time of year. By the time this is out, I know this was already passed. But New Year's Eve,
I've heard that too.
I've heard of people wearing fucking diapers
Can you imagine more of a nightmare?
to go watch a ball drop.
Already, I wouldn't go to that thing. Imagine making the plan and setting yourself with an adult diaper and to stand there just to watch that stupid
Dude,
shit.
I have not. The last time I ever did New Year's Eve in New York City was 2009 turning 10. I've avoided it since.
Yeah.
Because it's like I love it here, but New Year's Eve is one of the worst nights of the year.
Oh, the worst. I don't even
in New
do.
York.
Well, the last time I did stand up on New Year's Eve was probably like 2018, 2019, and it was so horrible. It was in Richland, Washington. Horrible club.
Well, it depends on how they handle it. This is an inside baseball comedy thing. If they make sure the show is done by
at 10?
11 or
Yeah,
10,
10, then
you're
that's good.
fine. You're totally fine.
They make you if they're making you do the ball drop for your comic, this is gonna be the worst weekend of your life.
Yeah. Also, last time I was in Times Square, it was New Year's Eve, years and years ago. It was before comedy, and me and my friends were at a party that was like 20 blocks away, and we went after it, and it looked like the world had ended. It was like there was just, I'm not even kidding, there was 4 different fights that we saw just broke out. There was small fires. There was just like trash everywhere. There was all necklaces and glasses everywhere.
I'm not gonna go, especially now. I'm fucking married. I have
No,
dogs.
there's-
I'm not gonna go.
There's no reason to go.
Yeah, my buddy Brent Sagaloff, he was like, "Oh, you should come to. You want to do a spot on a New Year's Eve show?" I'm like, "No, I don't want to go anywhere.
No
Fucking
way.
weird,
Dude,
you
it's
know?
like there's already a lot of people here, 8.5 million, and then 4 more million come
in. Yeah.
And then you've got like bars that are normally just chill dive bars, suddenly have cover charges.
Yeah, and it's packed to the gills.
And there's that New Yorker mentality, like the time where you're like, hey, what if we just went to this one party and enjoyed ourselves? Like, nope, we got to go to every single event we know about.
Yes.
Or else, why are we here?
And you do.
Why are we here?
You age out of that, but I think the people who are coming in are like, it is like Westchester and probably Long Island, and they're like, I go on New Year's. It's exciting. It's
Bridge
fun.
and tunnel shit.
Bridge and tunnel. Shit.
Those were
people
the fun. What's that? Someone say something?
Did Pat say something?
Did you hear that?
No. That might have been me first.
That was weird. Or it sounded like a 4th person who was just been here the whole time that I just forgot about. Like, oh, sorry, Steve. Yeah, but no, like,
introduce you to the show ghost.
yeah, those were fun back in the day when we were all like, fucking broke comics, and you'd go do like a show in Brooklyn that would be over by 10, and like, what are we doing now?
Yeah.
Now, between the 5 of us, we've got $81 maybe. What are we gonna do?
Just go to
Let's steal something.
They used to have, real quick, one last thing about this is that we used to have, years ago as well, when I was way young, 22, 23, we would go to these McGibbon loft parties in Brooklyn.
My God,
Remember those?
dude.
Oh, the Brooklyn loft parties. I remember those.
Remember them?
Those were fun, dude.
I went to one of those once. It was run by a brother and sister. The girl, my friend Jay Riggio, like, was so loaded he fought the sister. At one point, she had a gash on her neck from something somebody did to her, and she just covered the cut and kept partying the entire night.
She was bleeding, and she just like,
Jesus.
fucking
Midnight rolled
Island.
around.
put the finger in the dam.
Midnight rolled around. Everybody, there was ceiling fans. For some reason, people just took their beer bottles and chucked them up into the ceiling fans, and there was just glass. It was like, it was insane.
God.
I would, you couldn't pay me enough to.
That's
go
not
to
even fun. Yeah.
I've always been very glad that I don't have that drunk gene. That like gotta just destroy everything.
Oh yeah. No,
mean,
I'm
you
a
guys-
fairly happy drunk.
I think you guys probably remember, if you don't, and it's only famous to about 8 of us. But there was a McKibben, now, just for the listeners, the McKibben Lofts in Bushwick, Brooklyn, 15 years ago, were this amazing mecca for just debauchery.
Yes.
Right? It was all artists. It was all
Hipster Shangri-La.
Yeah, exactly. And it was hipster before it was woke.
Yes.
It was like fun edge hipster still.
It was
And-
like hippies doing coke.
right.
That's what it was. So it was a weird vibe.
But we all knew we had a couple comedians placed in there. So there were parties all the time, and they were fun. And I remember in like 2012, I was just walking through there, and I saw like a family moving their daughter into one of those. I'm like, it's over. This has been over for a while.
It's over. Yeah, it's over.
But
Yeah.
do you remember?
Like the college dorm.
I don't think it was Norman, but it was me and someone else at a McKibben loft party on like a Wednesday. So if you remember, we did a mic, and then we all went to this fucking party, and it was crazy. And there was video evidence, or a video of me putting a cigarette out on my balls.
Oh my God!
Do you remember?
On your balls?
On my balls.
I wasn't there. Was I there?
Everyone.
Did you think it was hilarious? Like how drunk? Like what?
I was hammered.
Of course. If you weren't
It was
hammered,
like
I'm
this.
like, Sean, you need to go to see something.
So it was like I'll do it. Someone was like, I fucking dare you, and then a camera. And this was pre-camera phone.
Yeah.
Right.
This was everybody.
They had like a flip
Someone
thing.
had like an actual like
That's
like
amazing.
camera, and I was like, do it. I was like, all right, and people watch and so I guess technically I'm confessing to exposing myself
Yeah.
at a party.
You
if you
could cover
expose
American
yourself
Airlines
to a
flight.
cigarette, you're a victim.
And then you put a cigarette out on my balls.
Let me ask you this: that memory, was it something that came back in waves the next day, like one of those kind of things? 'Cause
I mean, it came back in throbbing pain in my balls.
yeah, I mean,
And I still have the scar.
yeah, that's one of
way.
those. You go to the doctor
yeah.
and they're just like, "What? What were you doing?
Cigarette on the balls.
What were you doing?"
I was doing being 20 something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, this is actually the suburb. I live in Stamford, Connecticut now, and this is well, it is a city, but if you live there, it's half suburb. But I had to this guy got fired in June. Connecticut school bus aide bit 9-year-old, licked his face, and wiped mucus on him during rides. Not one ride, rides.
Plural.
This guy was just biting kids.
Maybe that was their thing. A school bus aide in Connecticut was arrested after he bit a 9-year-old during a ride, according to police. Part of the strange pattern of abuse that went on for weeks. Juan Carlos Rodriguez was allegedly caught on camera aboard the bus biting the child who has autism. Whoa. Oh my God!
This guy's this is it's amazing.
This viral shit has to stop.
Well, this is the worst. Fucking.
This is the worst.
This is the Hawk Tuah challenge. No, the Hawk Tuah. But this is like I can't. Can you imagine fucking getting a call like from the school board? Hey, our bus driver, he bit your boy. A bus driver?
It's a bus driver aid.
Yeah, they don't trust him with the fucking full bus, I guess.
That's the kind of thing where it's like there's that like part of you. It's like I would almost like to be there and witness it and be like, wait, did you just bite a kid?
Yeah.
And then every single pent up rage, every single ounce of pent up rage you have in you, you can like, I think I can unleash it on this guy.
Yeah, I think I can kill this
biting
guy
a child.
now.
Yeah.
Something
Well,
happened.
it's over a 3-week span. Then.
And there was other stuff the guy did.
27.
Apparently,
Fuck that.
he hit the child with his phone, wiped mucus on him, like we said, and licked his face in separate incidents over 3 weeks.
That's a sick guy. This is a guy who's like,
this guy.
he's getting it off. He's like, oh, he's handicapped. This kid's never going to speak about it. Let me take it.
Yeah,
That's
dude.
what happens when they say like all these assaults happen in nursing homes, but you never hear about it because they're the most defenseless people.
And they probably have dementia and stuff, and they can't report it or whatever it is.
report it or whatever.
He turned himself into law enforcement. He has been fired from his job as a school bus aide, but he got a new job as a fucking
the senator.
It was Gigi Allen's sideshow.
He's an OnlyFans.
The head of agriculture in the upcoming Trump.
The new head of the SEC.
Yeah.
See, I hire diverse people.
Head of education.
I will hire Latino as long as they bite a child.
Director of transportation.
Yeah. There it is. There it is.
Oh
Step
my
aside,
God.
buddy gug.
You're right. That's a special kind of evil, and he exactly picked out that victim because he was like,
Oh yeah, because he was
won't
going to
say
get away
shit.
with it. He wasn't. If it was like just a normal kid, maybe I'd have some sympathy. Maybe that kid was being shitty, but not some kid who's handicapped. Come on.
So
So yeah, we're at UFOs crops. If you didn't know this, Sean.
Yeah.
I mean this Sean. This
Patton.
Sean got really into extraterrestrials. It may have happened during his divorce. I'm not going to say whether or not that happened because or during the divorce, but
Okay.
obviously there's some crazy shit happening with these fucking drones. What's your theory on it, Sean?
here's
Now
the-
this
we
is
talked
we're
about it
recording
already.
this probably a couple weeks before it comes out. I just want to say
Yeah, go ahead.
before Sean says that this is his opinion, December 19th, I'll say,
And I don't-
2024.
I don't think we're gonna know by the time this episode comes out what they actually are because we've talked about this at length. We had phone calls about it. I'm a healthy skeptic. I might have got a little nuts in 2017. Maybe some shit was going on, but I am a healthy skeptic. And what these are just straight up. I think it's us. The rumor is that
It seems like it's us.
There's a nuke or radioactive material that's loose somewhere in the country. But they'll have an added thing to this after that they can't find. So our government has had these things on lockdown the whole time, and they're like, we need to find this fucking thing. We don't care if people see them. Boom, go out and do your thing, and that's why you're seeing them. But I will say this: the government is saying that this radioactive material went missing from a shipment that came, I forget where it came from, but on December 2nd. People have been seeing these things since like early November. And then they haven't just been seeing them, they started in England above a U.S. military base.
So it's clearly a government program.
I think it's a government. I think it's a government thing. But dude, because of everybody looking up, this is the coolest part about this. Drones are us totally. It's not UFO. It's not aliens. But I don't know if you can find it. I should have sent it to you. Sorry, Pat. Because everybody's looking up at these drones, some of these news outlets are getting actual videos of shit that's not drones. And ABC for 30 seconds in broad daylight had film on something that was like an orb that was in the sky. That these orbs that you can see tons of videos of these things on YouTube and all over the place.
Yeah.
That nobody knows what they are. One guy took a picture of one, put the metadata up from the picture, and did a full-on close-up. It just looks like kind of like a
Do you
pinwheel.
think before you
pixelated
die, we're gonna
star.
have an answer to any of the shit?
Not an answer. They'll admit that it's not us. They'll admit that it's not us. That's what the other thing I wanted to talk about. So I watch a lot of this stuff and I read a lot of this stuff and
News?
news, UFO news. I only do UFO news, but there's a thing that multiple, like the guy Lou Elizondo, who was a legitimate guy who worked for the government, like guys like
I've seen him interview
Jeremy
a lot.
Corbell, George Knapp.
Yeah.
There's an event that supposedly is taking place in 2027 that they will have to do some kind of disclosure about this topic because of something related to humans by that time. I don't know if that's bullshit. I don't know if it's environment related or if it's like the sea levels going up and they have to tell you about whatever's going on. 2027, there's something slated to happen that they're like, this will give you a better picture of why this shit's for real.
I'm glad Donald Trump's going to be in charge.
I'm sure he'll handle whatever
I'm
that
sure
is.
he'll deal with that fucking eloquently.
Here's the thing: is if you're an alien and you come when Trump's president, just compliment him.
I hope these are
Yeah.
aliens. I hope
They're
like
not, I don't
like I hope like an FBI level like alien. I hope whatever alien species is out there that might have planted humans here,
Yeah.
whatever millions of years ago or thousands of years ago, is like, hey, we gotta get down there and straighten this shit out, dude. Seriously, we gotta get down there. I would love that aliens show up and like, listen, we put you here. You were biologically engineered in our labs. Okay, we do that. We can do that. We put you here. We thought you'd be fine. The religion thing, I don't know what the fuck happened with that. I don't know what the fuck that was. But it's pretty much the root of everything wrong. So let's stop it. Fucking stop it.
Yeah.
Listen to we're the aliens. We got proof.
We gave you good shit.
I'm right now one being speaking in every single spoken dialect on the planet simultaneously. Okay? The guy who walked on water, that was one of us. This is Paul. Paul. He wasn't supposed to do that shit. One of you saw him. Fuck. Say you're sorry, dude. Anyway.
Well, dude, I've talked about it before on the show, but that's one of the theories is that it's one that you said that they created us, which people do think, and then also the reason why they pop up when we're about to kill or blow up ourselves is because they share the planet with us, but on a different dimension. So they're like, "Hey, you fuck yourselves, you're fucking us as well."
I love
That's
that.
why all this stuff
I love
shows
that.
up around nuclear power plants. That's
it.
why you had Roswell. That was where a testing site was.
Yeah.
But then you were saying too, because I've gotten more into this, because Sean's gotten more into this, and I've seen it where there's a contagion of the American government that thinks that they're born again Christians. They think it's demonic.
There's
they think it's
guys
devils
deep
and demons.
Deep within there's guys that are deep within the Department of Defense that Lou Elizondo has come out and said that there were bosses of his that it's a small fraction of a powerful one that are like, we don't want this released because it's demonic and it's from hell or whatever it is. And the other thing is like
Fucking stupid.
so the Bob Lazar thing was the first thing that kind of set this off in the modern age, like the 80s. That's where George Knapp did a story about him. He interviewed him, and then he was like, I was hired to work at S4, which is part of Area 51. And if you watch a bunch of videos about Jeremy Corbell did a documentary about him. This guy's a physics genius, and then he said they hired him off the grid, and then he left and he blew the whistle. But one thing he said is that he was having a conversation with somebody, or he read something, some kind of document that said what these beings are, whatever they are, whatever this phenomenon is, considers us containers, like of souls or something weird like that. Like, so you're containing your consciousness, and for some reason they're interested in that. And I was like, that could be, who knows what the fuck that means. But
it's all interesting.
It's
It
all
sounds
interesting. It's all interesting.
Besides the demon one, that just sounds.
The demon one
dumb.
just sounds.
Well, that's just dumbass fucking religious people who
Yeah.
can't think outside the fact that the Bible is basically just a collection of stories that most of those fuckers didn't experience firsthand.
That'll be fucking
You know?
crazy though. if
And
you
they're
were
just like, oh, it's
experiment.
predicted right here.
Well, I was talking about
like,
this
is it?
today. That there's a thing in the Bible called Ezekiel's wheel, and it's like from the text. It's like somebody's literally like they talk about a light orb that they saw with a being inside. It's literally like you saw a UFO. That's what it is. Whoever was talking about it, that's just how they were able to vocalize.
They saw the UFO that just planted them there.
Yeah, exactly.
You know? and their memory was wiped, so they don't remember how they got there.
That is gonna be crazy if you meet the thing that created you. You know, you're like,
Oh my god.
you're like, hey, oh, Sean Patton, yeah, well, you're gonna get your heart broken at this point. You're gonna get this at this point.
And I was like, can we move the heartbreak? Can we move that up a little bit so that's not happening when I'm this? You know, can I? How about a little bit older so I got like I still got a little bit more youth to deal with it.
Photoshopping humans.
Well, I mean, dude, like, so a really, really good friend of mine. He's a guy. I think we all had this guy. He's a dude. His name's Dane. We started stand-up comedy together. If he'd had left when I left New Orleans, he'd be fucking Jim Gaffigan.
right,
Yeah.
right,
He's just
right,
awesome,
right.
but he different priorities. He's still a buddy. I still talk to him quite a bit when I go home. But like years and years ago, after Katrina, right? We are a lot of our New Orleans friends moved to Austin, right? Pre-Rogan Austin, back when Austin was like, you remember Austin?
Yeah, it was like alt Austin. Yeah.
Right, but so this was like early 2006. Him and I took a road trip out there and just did a bunch of open mics and hung out and just had this like fun 3-day spell in Austin doing shows. But one of the nights we're hanging out at this bar and this woman comes over to our table and starts talking about how she's like, I can just sense an energy here that's very, and she's being very like that woo-woo-y sort of.
Yeah, like real heady.
But then she starts talking about, God damn it, when you astral projection. Mm-hmm. She starts talking about astral projection, right? And me and one of the other guys start kind of laughing about it, but being like, okay. But then my buddy Dane, he takes it very seriously, and then they start having a conversation about astral projection, the same way two comedians would talk about bits.
Wow.
Yeah. And how, like, I know, right? And that part's weird, right? And then we're all, what the fuck? But we all continue drinking, whatever. And then like the next, we don't talk about it, but the next day it's like an 8-hour drive back to New Orleans. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I have to bring this.
Of course.
So I'm, smoking a cigarette in his truck, and I'm like, look, hey man, I got to know. He's like, I know, I figured you were going to ask. And he basically broke it down. He's like, this is something that I've been able to do since I was a kid. He's like, it doesn't happen constantly. It's not even like a scheduled thing. It's just like, I'd say a handful of times in my life, I've left my body.
Where does he go?
He says he goes into he would go into like, he'd say you could call it another dimension, but you're still in the same room, but you're going into like, you're just an astral plane. You're just out of your body. You're just slightly removed from the human consciousness plane.
Yeah.
And there's nothing out there that can or wants to hurt you. Nothing. All of that is a construct of man.
Right.
All of everything.
Like hell and
like
demons.
There's nothing out there that wants to or can hurt you.
Does he tell you how much time he spends on this
He
plane?
says it always feels like it feels like an entire fucking lifetime, and then he goes back and it's only been like eight or nine, like an hour. No, he said sometimes.
This wasn't just DMT. I heard this is like DMT experience.
And
He's different, I think.
Like wait, he didn't. He said the time.
It might be along the same line.
The time dilation was yes. He said it was like it felt like forever. And he'd go back and it'd be like 4 hours or something like that.
Yeah.
But it was like, and he's not a woo woo guy, not a religious guy, not a fucking, he's a very well adjusted, down to earth. Probably voted for Trump. For being honest.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like
He's pretty straightforward.
I doubt it. He's an intelligent human being, but a lot of fucking intelligent people fucked up this time.
Right.
But I'm saying like he's a really good man, like a good dude.
Grounded, down to earth.
Has like a real life, and it's like he was like that back then. And he probably still has these experiences.
Are you going to ask him this time when you see him? Or are you
probably, I'll bring it up again. But it was this thing where it was just sort of like, ever since he said that to me, it was one of these like, I don't know why, but I believe that more than anything else I've ever heard.
I buy that, and I'll also tell you that. So this guy Lou Elizondo, this fits in with the UFO crop circle. Yeah. He was part of a group called QTip, and he's one of the famous. He's a star. If you ever see these videos, he was on the last congressional hearing about UFOs, and he had a book. I had the audio version of his book, and he full on talked about what they worked on in QTip and OSAP, which is these two groups that he was part of. Was one of its remote viewing, which kind of reminds me of what you're talking about, where it's like they're able, if you're susceptible to it, they do like some kind of test. If you're susceptible to it, they can train you to be able to like full on just send yourself to like Kabul.
Well, they were trying. I mean,
the
CIA has been trying to make that work for years.
And they've done it. Like they did it. Like there's guys who did it, and there's guys who found maybe some nefarious shit because of it, or like we're able to tell you the location of something big that could help them out.
I hope they're doing it now for whatever the fuck these drones are looking for.
Yeah, I guess they didn't. They ran out of those guys or something.
They ran out of those guys.
I would love it if we find out it's just like a private airlines, just like one person.
with the
Rich
drones.
person airline.
Yeah.
It's like,
Or it's like a fucking shitty studio campaign for Superman. It's
Yeah.
like some like
Oh yeah, it's viral.
it's a viral like now we're trying to get people to see the new Get Out or whatever.
or it's just like the one billionaire with a sense of humor. I was like, I'm just gonna fuck with everyone.
Fuck with everybody.
Yeah.
Well, dude, thank
you so much for doing this. With
Man.
Jinx.
Uh-oh.
You buy me a Coke. Sean, what besides the amazing English teacher that you can get on Hulu and FX, what else can we also see Sean's comedy. He's one of the best comics in
you.
the world. And
Thank you.
I know me and Sean know all the comics. So it's like-
Yeah. I just got my special. I had a special on Peacock for 2 years, but I just got it back. It's called Number One. I'm probably gonna put it out online, obviously on YouTube, because
Yeah.
not enough people saw it on Peacock, but they were still dope as shit to work with. But
Yeah.
you know, it's just
It's a paywall
yeah.
stuff.
But I'm on. I mean, go to MeSeanPatton.com. I'm on tour constantly. So please come out to a show. I got a lot coming up in January. A lot every weekend, pretty much. So let's do it.
Please see Sean Pat. He's
Yeah.
one of those guys you really should see live.
Thank you.
And not just on YouTube. You should see him live. Watch the specials too, but you should really see him live.
Dan St. Germain, what do you got?
I'm gonna be at a Chili's. No, I'm not. I have a special Dance Fatty Dance. It's on Mark Norman's special. It's on Mark Norman's YouTube. It's on Internet Gorillas YouTube. I have a YouTube channel you can join, and also I'm on Instagram. So join that.
I am at Shawnee Time on Instagram. Make sure that you subscribe to the Burbs Bros YouTube channel. Very important. It helps the show a lot. Thank you to Pat. Thank you again, Sean, for doing this.
Of course.
And we'll see you next week. Bye, everybody.
Thank you.